What's good, man? I want to talk about Lomachencko today. He made his ring return coming back from that war on Saturday, and he chose a good opponent. I knew Jermaine Ortiz would be a good opponent for him, and the fight turned out, you know, neck and neck. Lomachenko, he had got the unanimous decision victory, which I heavily disagree with, especially the 117, 111 scorecard. He had like a 115, 113, but me personally, I scored the fight a draw. You know what I mean? Jermaine Ortiz started off real strong in the beginning, with the jab, right hand, throwing different right hands at Lomachenko, keeping him at bay. And this fight looked at very similar to the Teofimo Lopez Vasily Lomachenko fight, where Loma didn't throw a punch. Well, he wasn't throwing punches for like 7 rounds. Jermaine Ortiz had him, gun shy for about 4 or 5 rounds with a nice jab and right hand and athleticism, moving backwards, being defensively sound. And, before the fight, as they were introducing Ortiz, they say that this was his first 12 rounder. And, I only knew Ortiz for 2 fights. He just beat Jamel Herring before this fight, so I was a little surprised. So I started paying attention and he got this Loma fight, and I knew like they had to be picking him for a reason because he seemed like a dangerous fighter to me to be considering a tune up. And in the championship rounds, Jermaine Ortiz showed why they chose him because he was completely gassed. He just didn't have much for Lomachenko. He didn't have nothing. He lost the last 4 rounds very convincingly, and that's what made the people give him that loss because I had Jermaine Ortiz winning 4 out of the first 6 rounds. It was going 4-2 going into the 7th round. And then he won 2 more rounds. And then Loma, he just took over 9th round and back. Jermaine Ortiz was really tired. You know what I'm saying? But he's a really good, skilled fighter to look forward to. He's only 15, 16, and 0. Well, 1 loss and 1 draw now. And I feel like he was supposed to have 2 draws. But Lomachenko, he's supposedly being in line for Devin Haney, undisputed, at 135. He sounded like he was with it. He had Haney in his face in the ring, and he sounded like he was with it. It's just that heavyweight talk when he was talking about Devin Haney, that was a little concerning. So there's still a chance that he may not step into the ring with Haney. And I didn't hear Bob say it myself, but I heard Bob say that Lomachenko may not be ready for Devin Haney. And looking at that fight, I don't really give Loma much of a chance against Haney at all. He called Haney a heavyweight, even though even though Loma been fighting people bigger than him for years now. That shouldn't be no excuse. He was a champion at 135. He held belts. I would say that's his division. I mean, of course, he's smaller than, you know, the biggest 135 pounders or whatever, but he's been there for a while. He's beat up people Haney size. And Jermaine Ortiz, that looked like a perfect tune up for a Devin Haney fight. And like I say, Loma did look good in the last 4 rounds. So I don't see why he wouldn't want to jump in there with Haney. But we got to see what's what. This would be, see, for all the top names that don't want to save Devin Haney for last and all that, you seen how weight drained he was in that last fight. If he's willing to give you a title shot at all those belts, I would advise the Tank Davises, the not Ryan, he's at 140, but Tank Davis and Lomachencko to take that fight because this is a perfect time. Haney's weight drained, and he's willing to drain down again to 135 to make that fight with either one of those two. You know what I mean? But Errol Spence, they say that they're going to be announcing Errol Spence fight sometime this week. And they say that Keith Thurman is going to be actually the front runner for this fight. Me personally, I thought that Stanionis would be getting this fight next, seeing that he stepped aside for Spence and Ugas to fight. And he was finna step aside for Terrence Crawford. So after that fell apart, I just assumed that Stanionis was next. But all in all, the sanctioning bodies, they colluded together and they say that the WBC can mandate next. And I think that they're going to mandate Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. You know, Bud finna fight David Avanesian on December 10th. There hasn't been much promotion. I seen Fanon come out with a video talking about the fight may not happen or whatever, but we have to wait to see what's what with that. As for so far, Bud versus Avanesian will be on the 10th. The undercard for that card is unknown. Their pay-per-view will be $40. And Spence and Thurman, I mean, my take on that fight is, it's a little late. You know, they both had belts. They could have unified or whatever. And Spence saying that he never wanted to fight Keith Thurman for ducking him. And now here he is. He might have to do it through mandate. And, you know, I really, this is a real entertaining fight. But I'm going to hate to see the criticism that Spence will get for fighting Thurman after he said that he will never fight Thurman. You know what I'm saying? I think I heard him say that he'd get stripped before he fight Thurman before, but I'm not sure. But I think Spence, he might fight him because he don't want to get stripped. If he fight Bud afterwards, he's going to want that for undisputed. You know what I mean? Just a couple of quick news that I heard around the boxing world, and Lomachencko looked it real bad in that return fight. But that wasn't a horrible opponent he was fighting, in my opinion. But let's see what's what in this boxing world tomorrow, and let's just stay updated.